Hello, and welcome to Session 5 of the Refresh Online Fatigue Management Program. Today, we dive into the heart of cognitive change as we explore how to challenge unhelpful thoughts and take back control over your energy levels. By mastering this skill, you will discover the power to reshape your perspectives and enhance your overall well being. In this section, we delve into the world of unhelpful thought patterns and their profound impact on our energy levels. Our thoughts have an incredible ability to shape our emotions, behaviors, and ultimately our energy. Identifying and challenging these thoughts is a pivotal step toward redefining your fatigue experience. We can have both helpful and unhelpful automatic thoughts. Helpful thoughts are those that lead to improved mood, enjoyable behaviors, and the successful accomplishment of goals. Unhelpful automatic thoughts can create negative emotions and weigh us down. They can get in the way of managing fatigue. The first step is to become aware of our automatic thoughts, especially the unhelpful ones that are causing problems. Once we identify them, we can then begin to challenge them. That is why we asked you to keep a thought diary last week. Imagine our unhelpful automatic thoughts as a picture on the wall, a bit wonky, but we have grown accustomed to it over the years. It has become so familiar that we hardly notice its imbalance until we take a closer look or until someone else points it out, prompting us to view it with fresh eyes. Now, take a look at the same picture, but this time it is balanced and correctly placed. This represents the shift in perspective we can achieve when we examine our automatic thoughts more closely. By challenging these thoughts, we can straighten the picture on our mental wall, fostering a healthier and more balanced mindset. We all have patterns of thinking. It's a normal human response. However, we can get into patterns of thinking that are not helpful. These can get in the way of managing fatigue. Below are some examples of unhelpful thoughts related to fatigue, such as I am lazy, I have no control, I am useless because I can't do all the things I used to do, I am making too big a deal over this, everyone gets tired and they keep going. Others must think I'm lazy. I should be able to do all the things I was doing before. I have to keep going regardless so that I'm not a burden on anyone. I'd better do very little in case it makes my fatigue worse. I must push through and finish tasks in one go. I must do this now, even though I'll really suffer for it later because I might not be able to do it in the future. Yes, pacing is important, but it's not for me. Unhelpful thought patterns can be sneaky and subtle, but they play a significant role in how you perceive your energy and capabilities. These patterns often include negative self talk, catastrophic thinking, and overgeneralization, all of which contribute to draining your energy. Below are some examples of unhelpful thinking patterns. These are common patterns that many people experience to one degree or another. One of the unhelpful thought patterns is making extreme statements and rules. This is when we engage in all or nothing or black and white thinking and see things in an extreme way, such as I must push through and finish tasks in one go, or the other extreme. I'd be better do very little in case my fatigue gets worse. Recognize that often life is full of shades of gray. Weigh up all the pros and cons. Second, overinterpreting. This is when we generalize from a specific incident or limited evidence to all situations and people. When thinking in this way, we might use words such as never, always, everyone, nobody. Check for the evidence before making such assumptions. Make sure you are taking a balanced view. Third, mind reading. This is when we automatically assume that others feel negatively about us or are being critical of us or will be upset by our behavior. For example, if the cashier at the supermarket is abrupt with you, you wonder what you did to cause that, when most likely it has nothing to do with you. Fourth, negative filter. This is when we focus on the negative and filter out the positive. Look at all the things I can no longer do. Try to look for the good aspects and benefits of situations. For example, although I am no longer able to work, it means I have the opportunity to spend more time with my children and to practice my watercolor painting. Focus your attention on coping strategies to deal with fatigue rather than dwelling on the symptom itself. Fifth, binocular trick. This is when we exaggerate the importance of things such as our shortcomings or inappropriately shrink things down until they appear tiny, such as our achievements or the progress we are making. For example, minimization. I am making too big a deal about fatigue, everyone gets tired, and they manage to keep going. Don't minimize what you are dealing with. If you minimize it, then everyone else will. Shoulding and musting. If you find yourself using words such as should, ought, or must, often this suggests you might be making unreasonable demands on yourself. Are you tending to compare yourself with an idealized self? I should be able to prepare dinner every night. I have to keep going regardless. I must push through and finish tasks in one go. Personalization. Are you blaming yourself without good reason? This is when you blame yourself for negative events or situations that aren't completely under your control. Don't be greedy for blame. For example, it is my fault my granddaughter Beth failed for her exam. I was too tired to help her revise. Perhaps it was more to do with the fact that although Beth was given lots of encouragement and reminders to revise, she didn't knuckle down to the books. Name calling. This is when we call ourselves names, such as you stupid, you idiot, you loser, and so on. Often, we are a lot harsher on ourselves than we would be with a friend. Do you have such double standards? These labels are unhelpful and can lead to anger, anxiety, frustration, and low self esteem. Watch your language and treat yourself more kindly. What would you say to a friend? Emotional reasoning. I feel, therefore I think. I feel a failure, so I must be one. I feel an inadequate parent, so that must mean I am one. Don't let feelings completely override your thoughts and actions. Take a balanced view of the situation. Does the way you feel accurately reflect your position? If only thinking. The theme of this pattern of thinking is regret. If only I could still play tennis. While it is normal to feel regret and mourn the loss of valued activities and roles, it can be unhelpful. If regretful thoughts are dominating your thinking, it can hold you back from considering those things that you can do and positive changes that you can make to manage fatigue better. Accept that your life is going to be different. Think about those things that are good in your life and focus on those things that you can change rather than dwelling on those that you cannot. Yes, but thinking. The theme of this pattern is when you tend to rigidly hold on to a belief and are unwilling to be open to new ways of thinking about things or doing things. For example, yes, I know resting, pacing, exercise is important, but I don't think it is for me. This is not to say that every strategy described in this program will work for everyone. In fact, this program is about experimenting to find out what works for you. However, try not to discount or disregard ideas before you have given them a chance. Unhelpful thoughts trigger negative emotions that can consume your energy. For instance, if you believe that you are incapable of managing your fatigue, you might feel defeated and overwhelmed, sapping your motivation to engage in activities. Learn how to identify, question, and reframe unhelpful thoughts. This toolbox technique empowers you to reclaim control over your energy. What is the evidence for and against this thought? Is there evidence of any unhelpful thinking patterns? For example, am I exaggerating, minimizing? Am I thinking in all or nothing terms? Am I ignoring the positives? Am I name calling? Are there other explanations for the situations that are more reasonable or realistic? Would the jury agree with my interpretation of events? If not, what evidence might they use that I have overlooked in order to arrive at a more accurate judgment? If my friend was faced with the same situation and circumstances as me, would I judge them as harshly as I'm judging myself? If the answer is no, what makes me so different? What advice would I give a friend that I'm not prepared to follow myself? It is important to know that coming up with alternative thoughts does not mean being positive all the time. However, there may be other ways of viewing a situation that are more helpful. Considering fatigue related thoughts in a variety of ways can lead to new insights and solutions. In this session, we return to the example from last week of John and mowing the lawn. John began to challenge his unhelpful thoughts by examining the evidence for and against them. For example, one of his unhelpful automatic thoughts was, if I don't mow the lawn anymore, I'm useless. When John began to examine that thought, he saw there was not much evidence to support it. He realized that there were many other things he was good at, and he would not think any less of a friend if they didn't mow their lawn. He realized there was no need to place so much emphasis on mowing the lawn. And in fact, when he thought about it, he didn't even enjoy doing it very much. It made him feel exhausted, set him back for at least a couple of days, and he got irritable with his wife, which usually led to arguments. In fact, mowing the lawn usually ended up with lots of stress and fatigue. Now, let's introduce the rating thoughts scale. On this scale, we rate our thoughts based on belief, ranging from 0% indicating no belief at all to 100% signifying complete belief. This tool helps us to quantify the strength of our convictions. Moving forward, we extend the rating scale to our emotions, similar to the thoughts scale. We got our emotional experiences from 0% denoting no feeling at all to 100% representing the strongest possible experience of that emotion. Today, we revisited John's example from last week where he faced the challenge of mowing the lawn. John began to confront his unhelpful thoughts by critically examining the evidence for and against them. An example of his automatic thought was, if I don't mow the lawn anymore, I'm useless. For instance, John evaluated his thought, if I don't mow the lawn anymore, I'm useless, and rated it at 90%, suggesting a high level of belief. This scale becomes a valuable guide as we work towards challenging and transforming our thoughts. John reflected on the emotional impact of his unhelpful thought. Let's delve into the emotions he associated with it. Frustration at 75%, guilt at 90%, and irritability at 70%. Understanding these emotional responses is crucial as we explore strategies to shift towards more balanced and positive perspectives. This table serves as a visual representation, helping us recognize the interplay between thoughts and emotions in our daily experiences. John reflected on the emotional impact of his unhelpful thoughts. Let's delve into the emotions he associated with it. Irritability at 70%, frustration at 75%, and guilt at 90%. Understanding these emotional responses is crucial as we explore strategies to shift toward more balanced and positive perspectives. Let's explore John's transformative journey as he faced the prospect of mowing the lawn. In the initial scenario, his unhelpful thought, if I don't mow the lawn anymore, I'm useless, was heavily ingrained, rating at a high 90%. This thought triggered unhelpful thinking styles of black and white thinking and name calling. This thought brought about emotions of frustration at 75%, guilt at 90%, and irritability at 70%. Recognizing the impact of these thoughts on his well being, John initiated a shift. In the alternative thoughts column, since when has mowing the lawn been a criteria for failure and success? There is no need to place so much emphasis on mowing the lawn, rated at a more balanced 80%. Further, I don't even enjoy mowing the lawn. There are lots of other activities I prefer doing. Received a high rating of 90%. And mowing the lawn exhausts me and makes me irritable. It is not worth the stress. Reached a significant 95%. Now let's see the transformation in the new ratings column. The original unhelpful thought of, if I don't mow the lawn anymore, I'm useless, dropped dramatically to a mere 10%, indicating a considerable shift in belief. Correspondingly, emotions experienced a positive transformation: frustration at 30%, guilt at 25%, and irritability at 20%. John's newfound perspective allowed him to challenge these thoughts and beliefs, realizing they were hindering his ability to manage fatigue. He recognized that mowing the lawn didn't need to define success or failure. It wasn't worth the stress, leading to exhaustion and strained relationships. In the end, John made a practical decision. He hired his nephew to mow the lawn. This not only contributed to his nephew's pocket money, but also freed up John's time for activities he genuinely enjoyed, without the physical toll of wiping himself out for days. This transformation showcased the power of challenging unhelpful thoughts and fostering a healthier mindset for improved well being. When you have been identifying unhelpful thoughts related to fatigue, you may have started to notice that there are repeating themes. We can become used to thinking about ourselves and the world in particular ways. We all carry around with us certain attitudes, assumptions, or rules for living, often without being fully aware of them. Some of these may be holding you back from managing your fatigue effectively. Core beliefs are the most deep rooted level of thinking. Often, we are not aware of those core beliefs. These are absolute beliefs that we hold, and these can date back to our childhood. Again, some of these may be hindering you from managing your fatigue. Let's return to the John example. John's automatic thought was, I must mow the lawn. When he considered why this was the case, he realized it was because he had always had it drummed into him from a very young age. Once you start something, you have to finish it. And when he reflected further why he felt so strongly about this, he saw that it was because he thought if he didn't finish something, it made him useless. We saw that when he put these thoughts and beliefs on trial, he realized that they were getting in the way of managing his fatigue. He realized there was no need to place so much emphasis on mowing the lawn, and in fact, there were things he enjoyed doing much more. Mowing the lawn made him feel exhausted, set him back for the rest of the week, and led to arguments with his wife. In the end, John decided to pay his nephew to mow the lawn. His nephew would be glad of the pocket money, and John could spend the time doing activities he enjoyed without wiping himself out for a couple of days. Now imagine you put on a pair of glasses with purple lenses. You might notice that almost everything you look at is tinted purple. After a while, you might become so used to viewing yourself and the world through a purple tint you stop even noticing it. It's a bit like that with negative thinking patterns. Sometimes we get so used to thinking about ourselves and the world in particular ways that we don't even realize we are doing it. It is like if you buy a new car, You seem to see that particular model of car everywhere because you notice it more. Sometimes we try to compensate for these negative thinking styles, and this can cause problems. It might lead us to sacrifice our own needs or fail to see the bigger picture. Now let's introduce the Thought Challenge Sheet, a valuable tool for our journey ahead. This sheet marks the starting point where you can recognize unhelpful thoughts. In our upcoming sessions, we will dive into strategies to challenge and transform these negative thoughts. This tool gives you the power to question the validity of these thoughts and lays the groundwork for cultivating more balanced alternatives. Stay with us as we navigate through this process together, aiming for a positive shift in your mindset and energy levels. Get ready to embrace positive change and explore new perspectives on your journey. Engage with the thought challenge sheet we introduced earlier. This tool guides you through the process of identifying, questioning, and reframing unhelpful thoughts. By addressing these thoughts head on, you are reclaiming control over your energy and well being. First, just as you did with the thought diary last week, when you have a period of intense emotion related to your fatigue, write a bit about the situation that triggered it. Second, write down the unhelpful automatic thoughts or images that accompanied it. In addition, rate the strength of the thought from 0, don't believe it at all, to 100, believe completely. Third, rate the strength of the accompanying emotions from 0, don't feel this way at all, to 100, the strongest possible experience of this emotion or feeling. In the fourth column, challenge the unhelpful thought by writing down either one or more alternatives and rate your strength of belief in each alternative from 0 to 100. In the final column, re-rate the strength of the original unhelpful thought and re-rate the strength of the emotions that accompanied it. Throughout the week, apply the thought challenge technique to real life situations. Whenever you notice unhelpful thoughts sapping your energy, take a moment to identify, question, and reframe them. You will start to notice how this practice empowers you to shift your energy and mindset. As you continue this journey, remember that your thoughts hold the key to your energy levels. By challenging unhelpful thought patterns, you are fostering a more positive and energized mindset. This newfound skill empowers you to navigate fatigue with resilience and determination. If you have any questions or reflections following this session, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.